Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. This is Lifestyle Critic, where we break down movies and TV shows into their core elements. And in this video we are going to be reviewing Atlantis Milo's Return, which is the sequel to Atlantis the Lost City, although the official sequel was supposed to be called Shards of Chaos, but after the first film didn't do as well as expected in the box office, they unfortunately cancelled that official due to be epic movie and instead stitched together the first 3 episodes of Team Atlantis, which was supposed to be the spin-off TV series for the franchise, and they kind of stitched that together and made the film Milo's Return. Now it does feel a little bit like Scooby-Doo and Tintin in terms of a group of different characters going out to solve supernatural mysteries, which would have been alright as a TV series, but obviously it's not what the big epic sequel should have been. But either way, that being said, let's get on with the review for Atlantis Milo's Return. So from a storyline point of view, the film picks up from the end of the first movie in terms of Milo and Kid are living in Atlantis and are restoring Atlantis back to its glory days. Suddenly the gang from the first movie enter the scene and they are asking for Milo and Kida's help. Milo and Kida agree to help with them, and together they form a band and are solving 3 mysteries. The first one involves the Kraken destroying a city and really trapping some tourists. The second one involves some wind spirits, and the third one hilariously really does resemble the third Thor movie in terms of a character called Hellstrom is thinking that he's the new Norse god Odin and he wants to bring about Ragnarok. And he is thinking that Milo is the mischief god Loki that is trying to get in his way. So it's really interesting mini storylines, but you can really tell that they are 3 individual episodes that have been stitched together to form a bit of a movie sequel. But like I said, it's not obviously the official sequel, Shards of Chaos. But that being said, it is pretty interesting from a storyline point of view. So from a cast and characters point of view, some of the cast are back from the first movie, but some of them they also recasted. So let's go through them one by one. So first up we have James Arnold Taylor, who is replacing the role of Milo from Michael J. Fox. But that being said, he does capture the adventurous and nice guy qualities for this particular character. And if you think the voice actor sounds familiar, that is because he was playing Tidus from Final Fantasy X, and he really brings that innocence, youthfulness into this role as well. Next up we have Cree Summers, who's playing the character of Kida, and it's really interesting from this character's perspective as they really use her as a narrative tool to learn more about the outside world, to compare it back to the world of Atlantis, and to really appreciate the things that you have in the real world, which is really, really interesting. We then have the other band of characters that are making up Team Atlantis, and like I said in my previous review, whilst these characters are pretty individual, you don't really know enough about them for them to be really iconic in their own right, as Milo and Kida are definitely the most fleshed out members of Team Atlantis. And then finally we have the actual 3 monsters from the 3 different individual storylines, and because they've picked monsters that are actually pretty well known, it is really, really interesting as they are adding a lot of credibility. And in the future episodes they would have added more legendary monsters such as the Loch Ness monsters. So it could have been such a brilliant franchise, and like I keep saying, it's just really unfortunate that it got cancelled. So from a visuals point of view, for the most part it does hold up. Obviously the first movie was a big cinematic masterpiece, and this is a little bit made for TV, so it does kind of feel a little bit lower in quality. But that being said, it does pull from all of the big themes from the first movie in terms of being a bit of a continuation. Like I said before as well, it is really nice to see the legendary monsters across the 3 different storyline narratives, and it's a really interesting juxtaposition in terms of going out in the outside world in this movie, whereas the first movie was all about entering into Atlantis. So those are really interesting different comparisons, but from a visuals point of view, whilst it is a little bit lower in quality, it does capture the magic of Atlantis. So in terms of comparisons, this movie isn't as good as the first Atlantis Lost City movie was. I would say it's a lot better than the second Mulan movie. That was an absolute car crash. And I would say Atlantis Milo's Return is a lot stronger than the second Mulan movie. I wouldn't say it's as strong as the Aladdin sequel, but that being said, I think you can compare it to the Aladdin TV series, as this movie was obviously supposed to be based on the Team Atlantis TV show. Like I said before as well, you can also compare it to Scooby-Doo and to Tintin in terms of solving supernatural mysteries. So from a comparison point of view, I definitely think it's in the middle. So overall, if you were a fan of Atlantis, the Lost City, then I'd definitely recommend checking out Milo's Return. You know, it is really interesting in terms of what happens next with all of these different characters. It's a really interesting character narrative, especially in terms of the Kidar character going out of Atlantis and into the real world, and this character definitely has an interesting arc throughout the movie. I would say the other supporting characters, it's a shame that they didn't get to be more developed and to be really iconic in their own right. But you know, that being said, it is a really watchable movie slash TV show stitch up, and it is really decent for what it is. And so for all of those reasons, I am going to give Atlantis Milo's Return a solid 5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.